You have got to check out these technicals that I have out there for SPY, QQQ, IWM, Nvidia. Oh boy, Nvidia today. Like, wait until you see where we ended up. You will be impressed by these technicals that I have for you. Without further ado, we're going to kick things off with SPY, tracking the S&P 500. And I will say, I did not move any of my price targets as we look at these, although I'm not exactly sure why we have some echoes in here. We're going to get rid of those. Boom, and oh, come on. Boom, there we go. So I have not moved the price targets. I have shrunk down for a little bit more fine tuning. Now we're up in this area. So for this resistance that you find up in here, if you go back and watch my previous videos, that did extend all the way to this peak that we have up here. I have shrunk that down so we can see a little bit more finely tuned where exactly we find ourselves. And you can see that we tested out where the ceiling was, and then we came back, got rejected, and started looking for the floor. And right now we end up in sort of a limbo indecision kind of spot. And that's why you see this spinning top doji that's on here, where you have the long top and bottom wicks. And right about in the middle of that is a very narrow body. So something absolutely worth paying attention to. The markets, they were due for a bit of a breather, not necessarily retracement, although it could still happen. So if this floor doesn't hold out for tomorrow, we sell off a little bit more. We're going to have to watch for that. There are a lot of different levels inside of this band, and here we can find that. And then up above there, 562 and looks like 566, 555 to 556 are going to be very critical resistances for us to the upside. We still are in bullish territory. The markets are still signaling upward on the longer term charts that we have, daily, weekly, monthly, you name it. SPY still in good shape. Need to watch what happens for right now. We are at the top of that resistance. Breaking through that, we can still put on another couple percent. We're going to have to watch for it. That all-time high creeping around back here in the middle of July. We might actually see it. We got to get through that resistance first. Going over to the Qs. I said be watched around 480 to 482. And what do we get right about that? Another spinning top doji coming in here, showing that indecision for which way we go. We're either going up to 487 or we're falling back down to the 50-day or 474. They are right darn near each other. As a matter of fact, if I hide the drawings on here, you're going to see that. So not that one, hide drawings. There we go. So the 50 is this squiggly blue line that you see on here. And we actually have the 13 crossing the 50. So we might come back down from that, but honestly, that's a very bullish sign to see that happen. And so let me bring the drawings back and we can talk more about them in context. I think that we still have conditions for a green light up to that next price target of 487. If we can get through that 480 to 482, not one of my price targets, but one of those areas where I thought that we could get caught up. You see it happening back here. You see it happening over here. And now we're getting stuck again. So watch for that upside move. We're going to hit much stronger resistance up here if we can make it. If we do retest the 61.8 that's down here at about 473, that's going to be excellent for us. If that holds up as support, we can get a really strong bounce off of that. Moving over to IWM. This one's pretty cool too, by the way. These technicals, I've had these drawn on here for a while, and they just keep on working. And like I said, if you've been watching my videos, I disappeared down a rabbit hole, really chasing these down to really finely tune my technicals, and it has been nothing but spot on. So I'm going to keep on doing what I do. I'm going to keep on bringing it here to you on YouTube. You guys can visit me over at the Discord available through my Patreon. That link's down in the description. You can get a hold of these technicals before they hit YouTube. And then also down in the description, you'll find a link for a technical analysis trading course where you can learn how to trade based off of these technicals, including the bread recipe. And there's even a chapter in there on getting started with options that I think that you'll like. I actually have that one. It's a Stockmo Academy. I got my own little chapter in there on options. Like I said, pop this bag up. IWM, check it out. So these have been drawn on here for a while, and I talked about breaking up. We hit our head off the ceiling. Today we caught that floor on the top of the bullish channel. We tried to push down through it, couldn't get there, closed up top. We could still possibly have that springboard moment if we can stay on top of the bullish channel, that we could go back and we could push on to that 217 level. If we fall down through that, we have a fair amount of moving averages in here. We can find that support on the way down. We have really critical support down here at the 38.2, and you can see that we actually caught trendline support and about this support we have at this 50% Fibonacci level right at about 213 today. As a matter of fact, we closed just south of that at 212.69, and that matches almost identically with the 212.89 that I have. I'm about 20 cents off of where we settled today. So like I said, these technicals haven't really moved them. They've been there for you with the exception of on the SPY when I shrunk down that one area, but the lines themselves for the resistance are still the same. Just wanted to bring some highlights to it that I thought were covered up by all the red that you saw. So moving over to Nvidia. So Nvidia, look at this. I know it looks like a mess. I want you to pay attention to a very specific part right in here in the middle of your screen. This trend line is across the other tops. We broke up through it. Today, we tried to push back down through that trend line. We caused support and closed on top of it. In the aftermarket hours, in the post-market here, we're still at that support level. We want to watch and see that 125 holds up for us. If it does, and if we hold on to this trend line as a floor, we can push on and really try to push back past that 130. The market's probably going to have to help us out with it, especially as we close in on Nvidia earnings. By the way, my Nvidia earnings stock price prediction and earnings projection will be out in about 24 hours. I'll be dropping it here on YouTube tomorrow after the market closes, giving you about a week up until Nvidia makes their earnings call announcement on August the 28th. So be on the lookout for that one. So these technicals have been rock solid. I've put these out here with the price targets last week on Nvidia, and you can see they just keep showing up. They keep holding up, and we'll see if we get that push up. We found out where the ceiling was. And then today we found out where a floor is. So now we'll see if that floor holds. If it does, I think we got some rocket ships taking us up to 130, possibly 133. We'll have to see if we can punch through that. There is a lot of resistance to this top side, trying to take back on those the previous high that we had, which is going to be huge. If we can pass that, we're in really good shape. That also in and of itself is a resistance. And then that all-time high that we have up here of over 140, just barely over 140, that's also going to be significant for us breaking up above that. We're going to have a tough time, I think, making it through that prior to earnings. I think 125 to 133, maybe even as low as 120. So the full range that I've given before my video is 120 to 133. I think we stay in between there. And it's probably going to be really, really interesting over the next week to watch out where we settle at leading up to those earnings. And they are a coin flip. By the way, if you haven't watched my previous video where I give a real life scenario where somebody in my comments was like, hey, this is the conditions that I find myself in, I don't know what in the world I should do with all this. Now, mind you, I can't tell them or anyone else what to do. I also will never ask you for that information. I did, since it was public disclosure, however, ask if I could make a video just talking about some of the choices that people have with the different situations that they find themselves in. And so if you're looking for what to do with Nvidia stock or what should I do with Nvidia stock, just look at it for some examples of some ideas. And I think you'll be really impressed by the information that's in there. And if you are ignorant or in the dark completely, maybe you're a large asset holder, but you know nothing about options whatsoever, that you have just hundreds or even thousands of shares, like what do? I hold on to these and I wait. Well, there's actually a lot more that you can bring into it rather than just wait and kind of wade through the fluctuations. And that's up to you for how much you want to learn from that. That is a really good video. So let me go back over here. By the way, remember guys, if you want to pick my brain, you know where the link for the Discord is. Come on over and join us. We'd love to have you. So putting this back up here, the chart that we have, here's the trend line off the previous highs. We broke up above it. We found that support at it. We are in an area of resistance. Breaking up above that is significant. That can actually get us to that 133 level. And like I said, we have significant resistance up there. We have whole number Fibonacci levels on that for Fibonacci extensions that are out there. 1, 2, 4. We also have a 382 and a 618. And we have previous highs that are in there. So there's no shortage of just how much mess there is, how much resistance there is up above where we're at right now. I'm still going to stick with that range that I've given of 120 to 133. I can narrow it down next week, but it's still anybody's call where that happens to go. If for some reason we start to sell down, watch out below 125, because that's pretty much free fall down below there, down to about 120. So we could give up another 2 to 2.5% on that trip downward. So just be on the lookout. Critical support down here at about 120. Down below that, if we were to fall through that, we actually have to fall all the way down through 118 as well. We catch a little bit of support at 115 and then more so at 110. So just to talk about the downside of that. Now, Bitcoin, just to toss this in as a bonus for you, we actually came up and touched the 50-day EMA and SMA. Let me get rid of some of these drawings. I know it's messy. Here you go. A little bit cleaner look for you. You can see this yellow one is the 200-day. Being below, that's bearish. The 50 crossed down below. The blue 50 that we have on here, I'll make that, there we go, more clear for you. This is called a death cross. This symbolizes a potential further drop coming our way. As a matter of fact, as you lead up to it, you can see the market getting worried about it. It happens. We retested. We got rejected. We sold down some more. Today, we're trying to get back over that, and we just couldn't do it. Check out the technicals that are on here for Bitcoin, and you guys can see what you think of it. Like, it'll be a little bit messy. I'll try and make it a little bit cleaner for you so you can see it more clearly. So when I zoom into this at the price targets that we have to the upside of this, I went through and tweaked these things based on what we saw. We almost made the 61.8 that I have on here for you, $61,800. We almost got there. The 50 got in our way and we got rejected, and we fell about $500 short of that. So getting up above that is going to be critical. We have been consolidating. We have this weird consolidating pattern happening right now. The RSI on a daily basis is in bearish territory. So it is possible that we can't break that trend line again. We get pushed down, and we'll see if that rejection causes us to sell down further. If we're able to hold this support, and there's a lot of significant support down here, even if we hit these lower price targets, there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 5, there's another 1, there's another 1. I sound like, is it DJ Khaled? Is that him? Another 1. So if it is him, thank you for that. And I claim no rights to that. And so we also have lots of 61.8s that are in here as well. Heavy support that's in here. Breaking through that is where you have some other minor supports along the way. I think that would cause us, if we were able to smash down through that, I think that we'd be in for a pretty big drop. But I think we could significantly bounce from here if we're able to stay bullish in the markets a little bit longer, and then we can activate those prices to the upside of that. So just be on the lookout for this. If we're able to climb back up above this trend line, if we're able to overtake the 50 on a retest, we could overtake this resistance too. We got to watch that 200-day at about 62.8, almost 63,000. So you see the price targets on here to the upside. Let me move that so you can see the price targets to the downside. There we go. I got to go through a little bit of work and neaten these things up. And then for Tesla, I don't have the price targets on here for you yet. I'm cooking those up for you, but I will say in the past, as I started doing these technicals, I said 230. We almost got there. Right up above that, significant resistance. We have a previous high in there as well. And that's something that we might just get back to if we can make it back up through this resistance. We actually found where a ceiling was. We tried to go a little bit higher, couldn't do that. Now we're looking for a floor, fell back down through support. Now we're looking for bottom. So don't be surprised tomorrow if it happens to retrace downward from there. So guys, if you like these technicals, let me know what you think of them down in the comments. I know that the chart's a little busy. I'm working on paring that down to be something a little bit cleaner, a little bit more easily digestible for you. And I'll continue to have that better and better over time to as clean of a delivery as I can. Like I said, if you guys want to pick my brain about this stuff, if you want to talk to me about the technicals, see them before they hit YouTube, that link is available down in the description. It's for Patreon. Join the Discord. That's where I drop those technicals. Also my buys and sells, and you can talk to my community members as well. Also down in the description, you find that link for the Technical Analysis Trading Course. Make sure that when you do use that link, that you do use the code word doctor for significant savings for the course. Thank me later on that one. Guys, I really do appreciate your time. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.